was a combination of 4 ingredients. And I'm going to take you briefly through each one of these, why they synergistically work really well together as well. Rejuvenate Pro was really a foundational product, and I'll get into a little bit about the foundation, why we came down at the immune system level as being our foundational product that we wanted to start off with. And we've taken some really potent extracts from nature and formulated them into a product. So obviously you guys know me. I have a hyperbaric oxygen clinic, red light therapy, do health consulting, have a podcast, which hopefully you guys are all listening to, and a YouTube channel. Really appreciate everybody actually going over to the YouTube channel and hitting subscribe. It's bloody hard with the algorithm over there to try and get ahead. So I really appreciate that. Then I've got my co-founder, Peter Leakey, and Peter is a nutritional biochemist. He is the founder of Pharma NZ, one of the biggest supplement formulation companies or manufacturers in New Zealand. He's also had senior management roles at Douglas Pharmaceuticals and many other things. He's worked with other celebrity brand owners with different products. He's an elected member of the executive board of the industry in the natural health products sector for over 18 years. Then we've got Dr. Rod Claycomb, who is the co-founder of Quantech and Sensotech, and he's a dairy scientist. And he's the brains behind immune defense proteins, which we'll get into in a minute, as one of the key ingredients behind that. So we'll share some of his research. And then we've got Mike Ayres, who's a registered naturopath and medical herbalist. He's also someone who's been dealing with IBD for 30 years, and so he brings a real personal lens to this all. He's also the vice president of the New Zealand Association of Medical Herbalists and is passionate about creating evidence-based herbal products to promote health and vitality. The last person I wanted to introduce you to is my favourite person on the planet, Dr. Elizabeth Yerth. She is the founder of the Boulder Longevity Institute. She was an orthopaedic surgeon for 30 years, turned to regenerative medicine, stepped outside the sort of standard regime of things when she was, found that she wasn't getting the success that she wanted to have, so I say. And now she's at the cutting edge of regenerative therapies. She does everything from exosomes to stem cells to peptides to all of that sort of stuff. She's been my mum's physician for a number of years, and she's also been my mentor, and she's also a scientific advisor for Aevum Labs, and she's really the brains behind this formulation. Without her and her knowledge of pathway medicine, we wouldn't have been able to do what we've done. So that's the amazing Dr. Elizabeth Yerth. So let's just talk briefly about health span, and the health span is more important than lifespan. So we're all about having longer lives, but more importantly, we want to have health span. And as someone who's looked after, mum for 10 years, who's not had the greatest health, having deteriorating health as you get older is not what I wish on anybody or any family, because it's not how we want to spend our last years. We want to spend our last years in full health right till the end. And with science going ahead at the speed that it's going, we are definitely going to be able to increase lifespan and health span, but health span is more of our focus. And that's the period of time that we spend in good health and with vitality. So, and at the cell is at the core of our life systems. So we always talk about cellular health medicine. So we focus on cellular health with a foundation of immune system health. The immune system influences all of the hallmarks of aging. And this is the core and the crux of what we are all about, is that when we studied Dr. David Furman's work, who is the project director of the 1000 Immunomes project at Stanford University and the Buck Institute, and we're actually hoping to do a clinical study with the team there. He has been focusing with his team for the last 15 years on human immunology and understanding aging through the lens of human immunology. And they have over 1,000 people who participated in the study over a 15-year period. So the biggest longitudinal population study in the world. And what came out of this was, well, they have an eye age test, which is now available in America, and that's what we're hoping to use for our clinical research. But they are the eye age test identified certain proteins and certain chemokines and cytokines that were really crucial to mark how well you are aging in relation to the immune system. Okay, so the 12 hallmarks of aging, which we all know about 12 hallmarks of aging, the famous in 2009, I think the first one came out, and then it was, it was 9 hallmarks, then 12 and 14, and it keeps sort of expanding. But at the central part, I used to be like, oh, I've got to tackle all 12 hallmarks of aging. So I need this supplement for that, and I need this supplement for this. And it's a sort of a whack-a-mole approach, which you end up with, 50 odd supplements, and you're trying to sort of hit them all on the head while you're trying to attack all of the hallmarks of aging. But a simpler approach is what we came out with when looking at the 1000 Immunomes project, was that if we really went down to the foundational level and we looked at the immune system, it affects all 12 hallmarks of aging. So it has a crucial role in interacting with and influencing many of the hallmarks. Its role is in maintaining genomic stability, responding to cellular and molecular changes, and modulating inflammatory processes underscores its significance in the aging process. So strategies to support the immune health contribute significantly to addressing age-related decline and promoting healthy aging. So this is why we came down at that level of the immune system. So I love this image. It's an image of a thymus gland, which we don't really talk about that often, but a thymus gland in a baby, if you did a chest x-ray of a baby, that gland is huge in the chest. By the time you get to my age, in your late 50s, it's a fatty little nub that's doing basically nothing. And it's the university for your T cells. It's where the T cells go to learn how to be T cells and do good antibody things and do good things for your immune system. Now, this involutes over time. And so we start to have problems with our immune system as we get older. So the immune system's central role, it serves as the body's defense force. So it's tirelessly working to protect us from pathogens and maintaining internal harmony. However, as we age, this once really vigilant system undergoes changes that compromise its efficiency. So immunosenescence encompasses alterations in both the innate and the adaptive immune responses, leading to a decline in the body's ability to recognize and combat threats. So I'm not going to go through this whole slide because, maybe if you do want to have a look at the presentation, do have a look at how the immune system is related to each of the hallmarks of aging, whether it's cellular senescence or genomic instability or telomere attrition. It affects all of these. So it's really at that foundational level. So what happens actually as we age, as this immunosenescence process is taking place? Well, there's some common features across organs that the 1000 Immunomes project has identified. So there's a decreased cell number and function. There's a change in the tissue structure, and there's increased chronic inflammation. So in the heart, that looks like a reduced cell number and cardiocytes and sinoatrial pacemaker, decreased strength and elasticity of the cardiac walls, and in the musculoskeletal system, increased brittleness, change in bone mineral density and protein matrix, decline in muscle mass, decrease in fast myosin fibers, and accumulation of fat tissues. In the brain and the neurological, decrease in brain volume, deterioration of the myelin sheath, decrease of the temporal lobe, and decrease in the hippocampus volume. In the respiratory side of things, you get a reduced cough strength, your ability to get rid of things, reduced ability of the ciliary lining, decrease in the alveolus elasticity, and an increase in alveolus size. And in the gastrointestinal tract, what we see is a decreased microbiome diversity, a reduced gut mobility, and loss of intestinal barrier integrity. And we'll be talking a little bit about barriers soon. So some of the key factors here, thymus involution, as I mentioned, a crucial organ for T cell maturation, undergoes involution as we age, diminishing its ability to produce fully functional T cells. And this decline hampers the adaptive immune response, so the adaptive arm, not so much the innate arm, but the adaptive arm. We get a reduction in immune cells, so aging impairs the proliferation and function of immune cells, such as the B cells and the macrophages, contributing to weakened defense against infections. Then we also have cytokine dysregulation. So we get chronic low-grade inflammation, which is termed inflammaging, which becomes more prevalent with age. And this persistent state of inflammation disrupts the delicate balance of cytokines, signaling molecules crucial for immune communication. And the last one there is telomere shortening. Now, I've just done a whole course that I did with Dr. Bill Andrews on telomere shortening, and he is the telomere king. the top scientists in the world, and telomeres are the two caps at the end of your chromosomes, if you like, and these get shorter as we age. So immunosenescence, the gradual decline of the immune system, accelerates telomere shortening, which is a key marker of cellular aging. Enhancing immune function can help slow the rate of telomere shortening, preserve cellular health, and promote longevity. And telomere shortening is sort of like the end game. Like, we only can replicate our cells so many times, and there's a Hayflick limit that he talks about. And that's why we need to find ways to increase or slow the degradation of a telomere shortening. Okay, everyone with me so far? Am I going too fast? All good? Yep, sorry, Danny, you wanted to say something?
No, that's great. Really interesting. Thanks, Lisa. Really enjoying it.
Oh, brilliant. Excellent. I'm glad someone is. That's cool. Key factors in immunosenescence, again, going back to, this is a graphic from the 1000 Immunomes project. So the hallmarks of immunosenescence is that we have impaired immune response. So our T cells and our killer cells, our B cells, our macrophages, etc., all start to change. We get infection risk, age-related diseases, cardiovascular, neurodegenerative, autoimmune diseases go up, metabolic diseases, and tumorigenesis or cancer goes up. We get thymus degeneration, and therefore T cell output is in decline. We get the SASP, or the secretory-associated secretory phenotype, which is cellular senescence. And this causes an increase in inflammation. So interleukin 6, interleukin 8, interleukin 18, 29, interferon gamma, and TNF alpha. These are all sort of inflammaging CESP, what do you call them, prototypes, basically, that start to happen more as we get older. We also see a decrease in our naive T cells. These are the ones that haven't yet become what they're going to become. Like if a T cell recognizes an invader and it can create an antibody to that, before that stage it's called a naive T cell. So they go down. But then we have memory T cells, so where you've recognized past infections and you have these memory T cell number actually goes up. We have effector T cells, these go down. We get TCR diversity, which goes down, and virtual memory cells, which go up, and antigen recognition repertoire goes down. So we get, therefore, metabolic changes, reactive oxygen species, and the mitochondrial biogenesis goes down. The reactive oxygen species goes up, and your glycolysis starts to change, and you become metabolically less sound. So the consequences of this are susceptibility to infections. The waning immune function makes older individuals more susceptible to infections, leading to higher morbidity and mortality rates. Impaired vaccine responses. Vaccination becomes much less effective in older individuals due to that weakened immune response, so they don't produce the antibodies, so sort of a waste of time, right? Autoimmune disorders, the dysregulation of immune responses may contribute to the development of autoimmune disorders, where the immune system starts mistakenly attacking the body's own tissues. And then we have an increase in cancer susceptibility as we get older because of a compromised immune surveillance system, which allows for the escape and proliferation of potentially cancerous cells and increasing the risk of cancer. And again, that's related to the natural killer cells, which I'll come back to shortly. Again, this was just the 1000 Immunomes project from Buck and Stanford and their 15 years of research. So coming back down now to Rejuvenate Pro. So a resilient immune system is at the core of longevity and vitality. So what we've done is created this product looking at all of that information that I've just presented to you and trying to sort of understand, well, how do we combat this immunosenescence? So Rejuvenate Pro was looking at supporting the immune system, the gut health, and the cellular repair. So on the cellular repair, we enhance cellular health by supporting your immune system. Welcome, Victor. I can see someone else just joined us. Welcome in. Lovely to have you. Enhance cellular health by supporting your immune system at the cellular level, targeting key immune pathways like TNF alpha and interleukin 6. CXCL9, which I'll get to in a minute. That's one that you may never have heard of, and TGF-FA2 and HSCRP, which can reduce inflammation, promote cellular repair, and improve overall immune function, contributing to better longevity and well-being. On the gut health front, Rejuvenate Pro supports body barriers. And so not just your gut and leaky gut, which we will talk about when we've got clinical studies showing that it improves leaky gut, but also we have barriers right throughout the body. We have the oral cavity, the esophagus, the gut, the lungs, the blood-brain barrier, the ocular system, our reproductive tract, and our skin. These are all barriers that help protect either from the outside world or from different compartments in the body. And this supports the microbiome and provides growth factors and immunoglobulins to help you fight off the pathogens, viruses, and bacteria. And on this immune support, so the gut health and the immune support are very closely interlinked. Like 70% of the immune system is in and around the gut. So it's inextricably linked together. So on the immune system, Rejuvenate Pro, bioactive proteins like lactoferrin, which we'll talk about, and lactoperoxidase, enhance immune defense with antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial properties. It boosts T cell activity and provides protective effects against infection and intestinal damage. So what did we come up with? For the last few years, we've been working on this formulation. And again, my impetus behind this was my mum. So you all know my story with my mum. So I'm always looking for answers for her situation. And I couldn't really find anything on the market that was going to really approach this immunosenescence, which was part of her cancer story. It was part of her aneurysm story. It was part of her sepsis. And all of these things that she's unfortunately experienced, a lot of them came back to the failing of her immune system. So again, we came down at the same place where the 1000 Immunomes project came to, that an immune system is where we wanted to work on. So what we came up with was a combination of 4 ingredients. Now, this took us a long time to find these 4. There were many other options out there that we could have put in. But what we came down with was immune defense proteins, Immunel, which is a colostrum extract, and rosemary extract, concentrated for 20% carnosic acid, and then the New Zealand Kawakawa, which is a taonga species of the Maori people. And I'm going to take you briefly through each one of these and just give you a bit of background on each of them as to why we put them in this formulation and why they synergistically work really well together as well. Now, as I said, we have not yet got clinical research. We have 15 years of clinical research behind each of the ingredients, immune defense proteins and the Immunel, and there's a ton of research papers on carnosic acid, and there's a growing body of Kawakawa evidence. The Kawakawa is a little bit lighter, but it's had also hundreds of years of anecdotal evidence as well as what's now being shown in some of the clinical studies. But in regards to the immune defense proteins, now this is a bioactive whey protein complex. So whey protein, not the colostrum, that's the Immunel. And this comes from pasture-fed milk from New Zealand cows and provides selective antimicrobial activity, targeting harmful pathogens while sparing beneficial probiotics. So it's a selective antimicrobial, which is really amazing. So IDP supports gut health and the immune system with anti-inflammatory properties and a blend of lactoferrin, lactoperoxidase, immunoglobulins, and other bioactive proteins, offering natural protection against free radicals. Now, Dr. Rod Clackham, who is the scientist behind this, what they were trying to do when they first started looking at this is they were studying lactoferrin. Now, lactoferrin, the list of things that lactoferrin does positively in the body is as long as your arm. It's huge. There's not much things that lactoferrin doesn't influence. In fact, there's biannual conferences on the benefits of lactoferrin. And there's like thousands of studies on lactoferrin, and they were studying lactoferrin and trying to come up with a more powerful form of lactoferrin. Now, the more they purified the lactoferrin from our cows, and they were trying to do it at the farm gate, so they're not waiting till it got to the factory, but actually doing it fresh from the gate. And they were actually trying to make a more powerful form of the lactoferrin. And they did do that, but then they could not get that commercialized. But what they realized was, interestingly enough, the more they purified the lactoferrin and they took out any of the other bioactive whey proteins, the less effective it became. it became less effective. In other words, lactoferrin, which is 40% of IDP, so it's the major player here, but it's the supporting team members that makes the lactoferrin shine. So he gave the analogy of an American football team, and you got the quarterback, and he's the star player, right? And he's the one that earns the most, and he's the best. However, he needs his supporting players to shine, right? He needs the other team members in order to be the most powerful. And that's what they found with this bioactive. So they identified 50 bioactive whey proteins, and this has been developed by nature. So from an evolutionary perspective, the cow needed to protect the inner skin of its udder from the calf. So the calf is nursing twice a day. And of course, this is a huge infection risk for the cow. So nature had developed a way to protect the udder from infection and inflammation. And it was this 50 bioactive whey proteins together that was this magic combination. So the more they took the bits apart and tried to separate them out, the less effective it became. And so what they did is they've actually patented this combination, the synergistic combination of these 50 bioactives together, which make it a much more powerful form of lactoferrin, if you like, and really plays a critical role in promoting cellular repair by enhancing the body's mucosal immunity, its unique ability to support tissue healing in the epithelial lining, such as the gut, lungs, and skin, accelerates recovery from damage and helps prevent infection. And actually, they also have skincare lines where they use it for things like acne, because it's again, a barrier. And it's anti-inflammatory, it's antioxidant, it's antibacterial, antimicrobial. And so it's very powerful, not only on the inside, but on the outside as well. On the gut health side of things, it protects the gut lining, reducing inflammation in the intestinal tract and promoting better nutrient absorption. And by supporting gut barrier integrity. So IDP helps reduce the risk of leaky gut. So if you're running microbiome tests in your practice, you might be able to watch the things like calprotectin and zonulin start to improve in your clients. And we all know how important it is to heal leaky gut and how prevalent it is, because leaky gut leads to accelerated aging of the organs, of the brain, and is hugely detrimental. So we want to make sure that those barriers are tight, and they've done clinical research. Again, I can send you over all the research papers. We've collected them. They're all on our website, of the transepithelial electrical resistance, they call it, which is basically showing this improvement in the barrier strength and getting rid of the leaky gut. On the immune side, it strengthens the immune system by bolstering mucosal immunity, the body's first line defense against pathogens, and it also increases the activity of antimicrobial peptides, improving the body's natural ability to fend off harmful microbes and viruses. Now, I'm a big fan of peptides, the whole world of peptides, and this is a natural way to get peptides without having to do the injectables, which are available mostly in the States, and I'm working on getting them available here in New Zealand. But this is a natural way to get peptides. So some of the peptides that are beneficial. It also enhances the mucosal immunity via the secretory IgA pathway. So anybody who works in the microbiome area will know that secretory IgA is crucial, and that we have this at the right levels. So IDP contains immunoglobulins, particularly IgA, which play a pivotal role in mucosal immunity. It binds to pathogens, preventing their attachment to the mucosal surfaces, therefore reducing the infection risk. And this mechanism is crucial for patients with weakened mucosal barriers or those exposed to high pathogen loads, such as in respiratory or gastrointestinal tracts. Crucial for mucosal immune response and activity is influenced by the TGF-beta, which is transforming growth factor beta cytokine, which helps induce IgA class switching in B cells. Patients with recurrent respiratory or GI infections can benefit from IDP's ability to fortify the mucosal immunity, providing a first line of defense against viral and bacterial invaders. The lactoferrin and lactoperoxidase components have significant anti-inflammatory capabilities. So lactoferrin inhibits NF-kappa B, which is sort of at the top of the tree, the cytokines, if you like, which is a key regulator of pro-inflammatory cytokines such as tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin 6, and interleukin 1 beta. That those three are basically the cytokines of aging. They all go up as we age just from the get-go, like without anything being involved. The tumor necrosis factor alpha, IL-6 and IL-1 beta all go up as we age. By dampening this pathway, the IDP reduces chronic inflammation while maintaining immune vigilance. The clinical benefits of mechanistic pathways, antimicrobial activity through lactoferrin and reactive oxygen species reduction. It exhibits broad spectrum antimicrobial properties targeting bacteria, viruses, and fungi. It sequesters iron, a vital nutrient for microbial growth, and disrupts bacterial biofilms. It enhances the body's ability to clear infections. And lactoperoxidase catalyzes production of antimicrobial agents which neutralize pathogens directly. The interesting thing here is it's a selective antimicrobial. It does not affect in any negative way the bifido or lactobacillus. In fact, it supports those. So again, just coming back to the evolution of how this happened in the cow, it would make sense that the cow would want to kill off the bad bacteria but not kill its own good bifido and lactobacillus. And so that's what it does. The lactoferrin modulates immune responses by reducing reactive oxygen species and influencing the toll-like receptor pathways, particularly TLR4, which mediates responses to bacterial lipopolysaccharides, or LPS. And LPS is one of those absolutely awful things when it gets into the bloodstream, causes absolute havoc. So we want to get that under control. So regulation of antiviral immunity through type 1 interferons, primarily through lactoferrin's ability to stimulate type 1 interferon responses, crucial in combating viral infections. It interferes with viral replication by binding to viral particles and inhibiting their entry into the host. And the last thing on the IDP is that the gut immune axis support via the TLR and interleukin 10, which is an anti-inflammatory cytokine, and through modulation. So IDP strengthens gut immunity through its impact on the gut-associated lymphoid tissue and interaction with toll-like receptor 4. The immunoglobulins in lactoferrin and IDP enhance gut barrier integrity by neutralizing pathogens and modulating interleukin 10, an anti-inflammatory cytokine that helps regulate immune tolerance in the gut. So you get this lovely modulatory effect, because initially we want IL-6, we want IL-1 beta if we have an immune activation. We just don't want them to stay chronically elevated. And by modulating rather than boosting the immunity or doing something that's going to cause an overreaction. So the IL-10 is an important factor there. IL-10 goes down as we get older. That's the anti-inflammatory cytokine, and that helps balance things out. So that was IDP. I'll pause for a breath. Does anyone have any questions? I know it's a ton of science involved there. Has anybody got any questions on that? No? Good.
Yeah, Lisa,
Yep.
do you have any experience using this for long COVID or like elevated spike proteins post-COVID?
Yeah, very good question. So, of course, we're not allowed to claim much there, Victor, but there is a clinical research paper that they brought out recently that showed its efficacy in spike protein, in getting rid of the spike protein. I don't want to butcher it because I haven't got it, off by heart. But yes, is the short answer. It will help against COVID. And they also have studies that were released in relation to spike proteins in relation to the influenza virus. And it also showed that it got rid of those much quicker out of the body. I think it was a 64%, don't quote me on this, but a 64% reduction within 24 hours. So a really fast acting. So this is something that I definitely use in my long COVID clients, for sure. And yeah, it's very powerful sort of on antiviral front, but I'll send you over the research papers if that helps. So yes, do put it in with your long COVID people. Whether it, like breaks down the spike protein per se, or how it's doing that, I don't know exactly. Hopefully that answered it, what you were after. The next one we want to look at is Immunel, which is a colostrum extract. So colostrum being the first food of the mammal, right? So different to the whey, you know, we all think of these as part of the milk system, if you like, but the whey proteins are quite different than the colostral extract that we're focusing in on now. And Immunel is a concentrated, fat-free, lacto-reduced colostrum extract with potent bioactive compounds. So it supports immune function, gut health, and development. And studies show it enhances immunity, phagocytosis, which is, you know, the eating of the bad guys, if you like, by the macrophages, natural killer cell activity, and immune cell infiltration and enzyme activity. And this leads to a coordinated immune modulation, leveraging multiple mechanisms to support various bodily functions, while providing comprehensive health benefits. So intestinal integrity again, and upper respiratory tract, very important. The actives here are proline-rich peptides, sialic acid, nucleotides, and growth factors. And colostrum itself, not talking about Immunel now, but colostrum itself, I think there are, last time I looked, about 12,000 papers on colostrum and how powerful it is. The problem with colostrum is it's not been able to be standardized very well. There's no on what day was this collected, etc. And you've also got a lot of the lactose and you've got a lot of the fat in there, which we don't particularly want, right? So we want to take that out of, and this is what this is, it's just leaving you those bioactives, if that makes sense, so that you have that more powerful extract of the Immunel is a more powerful extract of colostrum rather than your standard sort of colostrum that you would get. It helps repair, cellular repair by activating macrophages, enhancing tissue regeneration, helps the body recover from cellular damage caused by injury, inflammation or infection, helps maintain a healthy gut by supporting the immune system surveillance and defense mechanisms within the gastrointestinal tract, contributes to gut homeostasis, helping regulate immune responses and reducing inflammation, and provides rapid immune activation, particularly by enhancing the function of the natural killer cells, which goes down as we age, by the way. So there's one called natural killer cells, CD69. There's a study that they've done on this and showed the very rapid activation of these natural killer cells and macrophages. These immune cells are essential for defending against viral infections and clearing damaged cells. Immunel ensures a balanced immune response, reducing the risk of chronic inflammation. It enhances natural killer cell activity for rapid immune response. So it's shown to significantly boost natural killer cell activity, which I was super excited about because natural killer cells are really crucial for things like cancer, of course, but also viruses. These are essential for the innate immune response, responsible for detecting and destroying virally infected cells and tumor cells. This rapid activation supports the body's first line of defense, particularly in immunocompromised patients or those exposed to high viral or bacterial loads. So Immunel engages with natural killer cell receptors, enhancing their cytotoxic function and improving the body's ability to eliminate infected or abnormal cells. So you can think of it for immune protocols, patients with compromised immune systems, or those undergoing cancer therapies. We typically don't say during chemo, or you wait till after chemo in order to put this in, because you don't want to be supporting the immune system when you're trying to attack the immune system, you know. So you have a kill phase and a rebuild phase, and this would come in the rebuild phase, so to speak. Or those at risk of viral infections, such as influenza or herpes, which of course are rampant. It boosts macrophage activity for phagocytosis, enhances the activity of the macrophages, which are the primary phagocytic cells, and these play a crucial role in engulfing pathogens, dead cells, and cellular debris, as well as presenting antigens to initiate an adaptive immune response, which is the slower sort of side. By stimulating toll-like receptor pathways, particularly TLR2 and 4, Immunel activates macrophages to increase the clearance of pathogens and enhance immune surveillance. In patients with chronic infections or slow recovery from illness, Immunel can help speed up the immune recovery by enhancing macrophage function and promoting the clearance of infection-causing agents. It also helps modulate cytokine balance to manage inflammation. Again, this lovely modulatory side of things with the interleukin 10 It influences cytokine signaling, particularly by enhancing the production of anti-inflammatory cytokines like the IL-10, and while modulating the pro-inflammatory cytokines like IL-6 and TNF-alpha. So this helps achieve a real balanced response. So yeah, really, really interesting. I won't go into all of the details. We're going to be here forever. It's a long presentation. It also promotes gut health and gut immune axis. Given that 70% of the immune system resides in and around the gut, Immunel plays an important role in modulating the gut immune axis, supports the production of immunoglobulins like RGA, which fortify the gut mucosa and help neutralize pathogens before they can trigger an systemic immune response. It's particularly beneficial for patients with gastrointestinal disorders, so think inflammatory bowel disease or those with conditions linked to dysbiosis, such as autoimmune diseases or chronic fatigue. And I use it a lot for that. Rapid immune activation and immune stress, fast-acting immune support, making it highly effective in acute situations, where rapid immune activation is necessary. This is particularly valuable in sudden exposure to pathogens or pre-surgical immune support or during periods of high immune demand. I had a dental surgery 2 weeks ago, and I can tell you I was doing like full doses of 4 capsules a day of Rejuvenate Pro to help modulate my immune response and, you know, help clear up the debris and damage. So the third ingredient that we have is carnosic acid, which comes from the rosemary extract. And rosemary extract, this is enriched, so it's enriched for carnosic acid. So rosemary has other actives, but we've sort of gone for the carnosic acid, although parts of the other are also in there. It's a potent antioxidant that protects cells from oxidative stress and inflammation, enhancing immune function, and neutralizes free radicals, reduces pro-inflammatory cytokines like TNF-alpha and interleukin-6 again, and boosts macrophage and natural killer cell activity again. It's neuroprotective. There's a lot of studies on rosemary extract and carnosic acid specifically for neuroprotection, which further supports overall health, strengthening the immune system and promoting effective defense against infections and diseases. Antioxidant, antimicrobial. It's cellular repair through its antioxidant properties, protecting cells from oxidative damage. It actually upregulates the NRF2 pathway, and actually Kawakawa does that as well. And the NRF2 pathway is like your endogenous antioxidant factory, if you like. So we can take antioxidants, but we can also upregulate our own factory of antioxidants, and that's the NRF2 pathway. And this is upregulated with the rosemary extract. One of the other things that it does is carnosic acid modulates immune function by reducing the inflammatory cytokine chemokine, that should read, that's a mistake there, chemokine, CXCL9, which is a biomarker of immune aging and dysfunction. You may never heard of CXCL9, but this is one of the crucial ones that Dr. Furman and his team at the 1000 Immunomes Project identified as one of the most important factors. When the CXCL9 is elevated, you're going to have a lot higher risks involved. So cardiovascular risk and immune system risk. So we want to get that CXCL9, and we were looking all around the world to find something that non-drug that actually lowers CXCL9. There are a couple of drug candidates, but there was nothing that we could find in the natural side of things until we found carnosic acid, and this lowers CXCL9, which is a key thing, and that's one of the reasons why we put this in, one of the major reasons. So it's a biomarker of immune aging and dysfunction. Its anti-inflammatory effects help maintain immune balance, preventing chronic inflammation that contributes to immune system degradation. So the inhibition of CXCL9 for reducing chronic inflammation and immune aging, it's involved in recruiting immune cells, particularly T cells, to the site of inflammation. And while this is a critical function during acute infection, chronic elevation of CXCL9 is associated with systemic inflammation, immune system dysregulation, and accelerated aging. Reducing the CXCL9 has become a target for improving immune health and longevity based on the 1000 Immunomes Project. So that's really, really exciting. It's antioxidant protection to combat oxidative stress, as I said before. Carnosic acid is a powerful antioxidant protecting cells from oxidative damage by scavenging free radicals and reducing lipid peroxidation. This is particularly important in protecting immune cells, which are highly sensitive to oxidative stress, and in preventing damage associated with aging. The anti-inflammatory properties to balance the immune function, its ability to modulate inflammation by reducing the production of those pro-inflammatory cytokines, again, the same sort of players as before, while promoting the production of anti-inflammatory cytokines like the IL-10. Carnosic acid, and indeed Kawakawa as well, inhibits COX-2, and this reduces NF-kappa B activation, leading to a decrease in inflammatory cytokine production. So think about COX-2 inhibitors, you know, your NSAIDs, your painkillers, that we want to, you know, knock down that COX-2. This is a natural way to do it. It's a natural painkiller. It's a natural lowering of the inflammatory response. So, you know, for you, Linda, with what you were dealing with yesterday, maybe a good thing, you know, it's not as powerful as putting in a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, but it's a much safer, better option to lower that COX-2. So lowering also CXCL9 can help reduce chronic inflammation, mitigate immune overactivation, and slow down the immune system's aging process. So it makes carnosic acid particularly beneficial for patients with chronic inflammatory conditions, autoimmunity, or those aiming to enhance immune function as they age. Neuroprotective effects in the brain are particularly noted for its neuroprotective benefits, which extend to supporting brain health by reducing neuroinflammation and protecting against oxidative damage, can help prevent or slow neurodegenerative diseases by modulating inflammation and reducing the accumulation of harmful proteins. And finally, immunomodulatory effects for improved immune function. In addition to lowering CXCL9, carnosic acid has broader immunomodulatory effects, enhancing the balance between pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory by regulating T cell function and influencing cytokine production. It helps maintain immune system homeostasis. It's a theme that keeps coming up over again. We don't want to boost it, we want to modulate it, preventing overactivation while ensuring effective defense against pathogens. So finally, we're on to the last one, Kawakawa. Now, this is one that's been used by the Māori people for centuries and has a lot of anecdotal evidence. The clinical evidence, there is a number of papers now that have come out on Kawakawa's use, and it has many phenolic compounds in it. It's a native plant of New Zealand. It boosts immune health by modulating the cytokines and chemokines involved in inflammation, lowers pro-inflammatory cytokines, again, the TNF-alpha and interleukin-6, aiding in chronic inflammation, but it also affects chemokines like CCL2, recruiting immune system to infection sites. Its anti-inflammatory properties regulate immune responses and enhance overall wellness, especially beneficial for aging. There's also research just come out on its benefits for diabetes. So you might want to have a look at that side of it. I haven't included it in this presentation, sort of outside of our realm, but it has benefits in sugar metabolism as well. It supports the immune system through antioxidant, antimicrobial, and the actives are myristicin, diengambin, alleimycin, and pipermethysticum. That's a really hard one to say. So there is some crossover with the carnosic acid. Again, it's COX-2, it's the NRF2 pathway that we mentioned before, but it has some other activities as well. Also very powerful for gut health and immune modulatory effects on T cells and immune balance. Significant immunomodulatory properties helping to balance immune responses and prevent excessive immune activation, especially relevant in managing immune senescence and age-related immune dysfunction, where the immune system becomes overactive in some areas and suppressed in other areas. So it modulates the T cell function, enhancing the regulatory T cells or Tregs, while suppressing the over pro-inflammatory T cell subsets. The cytokines involved, again, interleukin-10, interleukin-6, TNF-alpha, and interleukin-1 beta. So it helps to maintain immune balance in patients with autoimmune chronic infections or those experiencing inflammation due to aging by promoting anti-inflammatory immune response. It reduces the risk of immune exhaustion while ensuring effective pathogen defense. Helps with oxidative stress, again, activation of the NRF2 pathway, which I won't go over again. But yeah, again, the COX-2 inhibition modulates production of key cytokines involved with immune function and inflammation, and reduces the IL-6 and TNF-alpha and interleukin-1 beta while promoting that IL-10, a cytokine that plays a critical role in dampening excessive immune responses and promoting tissue healing. So that's in a nutshell. I could go on a little bit more, but it's too much to take in really in one session. But who can benefit? That's probably the question that we need to sort of address now. So we do say we don't give this to small children. We don't do it for a pregnant woman. The carnosic acid at very high, much higher levels than what we have, can induce labour. So we just steer clear of it, even though ours is such a smaller amount than would be needed to do something like that. We just steer clear of that. We also advise that during cancer, more so in the restorative phase, after the kill phase, after the chemotherapy and radiation phase, when you're wanting to repair the damage that's caused by those therapies, if you like. So who can benefit? Individuals with immune imbalances and autoimmune conditions, immunocompromised individuals, autoimmune conditions, immune dysregulation, low lymphocyte counts, and I've seen this in mum and myself. Both of our lymphocyte counts hers were tragic, and mine were lower than what they should be, and they both within a week or two of taking Rejuvenate Pro, the lymphocyte counts went up to good levels. And the neutrophil to lymphocyte ratio is something that we look at as being very key. As we get older, we get more neutrophils, we get less lymphocytes. So keeping that ratio is really important, and this keeps that lymphocyte count up, which is really important, especially for people like cancer patients and so on and so forth, who often have very low lymphocyte counts, which makes them prey to all sorts of things. Natural killer cell activation support, if you're wanting that, again, cancer, think viral, and immune balance, if you Th1 and Th2 modulation. Who can benefit? Also the gut and mucosal barrier. So anyone with gut dysbiosis or food sensitivities, what you may find is that their food sensitivities go away. Leaky gut syndrome or low secretory IgA levels. Epithelial support for the gastrointestinal tract, the lungs, and the blood-brain barrier. Also for just general aging and longevity support. So elderly individuals experiencing immunosenescence, and I dare say actually younger people who are also experiencing immunosenescence, as we're getting more, exposure to toxins and pathogens and viruses that are leaving even our younger people with compromised immune systems much earlier than we used to. So this isn't just for older people, but definitely as you get older, you're more prone to it. Chronic low-grade inflammation, cancer prevention support, growth factor and immunosupport. Anybody who has frequent infections or slow recovery, anybody wanting antimicrobial, antibacterial or anti-inflammatory support. So these are all the links here, and again I've sent the presentation over to you, to deep dives that I've done, separate whole interviews with Dr. Fairman from the Stanford University, Dr. Rod Claycomb from Contech. This is one I did that are just characterizing immunosenescence and the hallmarks of immunosenescence. And yeah, that's basically Rejuvenate Pro and immunosenescence. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it made sense. It was an awful lot to take in 1 hour.